for the chimichangas. Have the fun getting nerdy, fly with Adrian 8 p.m. Also known as Solid High, the comic guy. Boom, pow, got pops like Funko, how you laughing now? Eating comics for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. A real winner, like DP and Spidey, talking about other superheroes. Let's open some mystery boxes and celebrate weirdos. Imagination never ends, united through comics, we all friends.
Hi, LaCroix. I'm Adrian APM, and over here, that's Frank Gogol. Are you looking for two great guys that love LaCroix? Well, you found them. Now that's refreshing. And I know you. I know you hear it all the time, but like,
it's the best.
It's something about those short. I'll try to word it differently. It's something about those short, stories like this 1, 2, 3. But it's just so well done. And me being a fan of like. And yeah, I've heard you reference Stand By Me and you know what I mean, stuff like that. But like me growing up in that time, like, oh man, just it rings home. Like it's just boom, 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 and then then the whole it's what we do, So like, I mean, I'll just ask you that first. Where did that come from? The little saying that they have.
Honestly, like I thought that would be something good to give them, like a little inside joke catchphrase that not joke, but it's just I wanted to kind of like really hone in on like the theme of the book, and it's that these kids are there for one another and like encapsulate it in like just this really little quippy phrase for them to have, because I think that really, I mean, once you have something like that, you can riff on it. And in the book, like there's a couple of different ways it's presented, and like each one kind of impacts a different way. And like I really like the idea of doing that. It's also something that my friends and I had growing up. I won't tell you what it is because it's not as good. We had like a little thing we said, and it was kind of like you could use it a lot of different ways to mean a lot of different things, but like you always understood what the person saying meant. So like I wanted to give them something like that. That felt authentic to me. This book's really a lot based on my childhood and like the kids I grew up with. So like, drawing on that experience and kind of like presenting the best version of it was kind of important when I was writing it.
Yeah, because it definitely, like even, I could relate to that. It's like I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, yeah, pretty much this is who I was hanging out with. And bar saying we probably just said some crazy gibberish that nobody understood. So yeah, like you said, mine wasn't as good as that's what we did. So. Yeah,
no, mine wasn't either. For me, I think that came a little bit late. Like I'd written the book a couple versions of it, like the drafts, and that came in probably the second to last draft. And like once I wrote it and like I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that's gonna hit. And like I'm not a cocky person, like I wouldn't say something like that, but like it really it felt 100% right. Which writers are very notorious for second guessing themselves and thinking they're not good enough, and I'm definitely suffer from that at times, but very rarely do you get a moment where you're like, oh, that's the one. And on the first try, like it was good.
I don't know is there anything else you'd want to say about Dedenkins? I mean, I feel like, if someone hasn't read it, give them that quick, like, this is Dead End Kids,
So Dead End Kids, Volume 1, as we have to call it now. And we'll get to that later. But Dead End Kids is the story of 3 kids in 1999 who are trying to solve their friend's murder. So think Stand By Me meets the Hardy Boys, but a little darker, a little more violent, and with kind of a 90s edge to it. But at its core, it's really the story of these 3 kids, 4 kids when the book starts, who are going through some really rough shit at home. Things aren't great. Very reflective of the kind of environment and families I grew up with and around. And these kids don't have a lot of support at home for the kind of traumas they're going through, and they kind of rely on one another. So they take care of each other. It's what they do. And this is the story of what happens when that dynamic is really, really interrupted in a hard way when one of them is murdered. The kids start to spiral. They start making bad decisions. They start not taking care of each other, and it really gets away from them. At the same time, it is a murder mystery. It's a sort of fun whodunit, done in a way that reflects how realistically how kids would go about trying to solve a murder and like how actually dangerous that would be for them, which I think books like The Hardy Boys kind of like tone down. And yeah,
Sure.
you know, they're getting out of it at the end. Not everyone maybe gets out of this book alive. You know, I strove for realism.
Yeah, no, and I think you hit it on the nose. Are there any of the characters that you identify with the most?
I think there's definitely a little bit of me in all of them. Tank's heart condition is not. I don't have a heart condition. I'm very healthy, but I did when I was that age struggle with things like high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and like, you know, was at risk of things like heart disease and stuff like that. Taken some changes in my life, and I'm not too worried about that anymore. But you know, the writing like an extreme version of that for Tank was me putting myself in the characters. I'm also I was adopted when I was a teenager by my best friend's family when my parents couldn't take care of me anymore. So like there's a lot of me in Murphy and that anger that he's feeling at that situation of being adopted and not understanding sort of everything that's happening around him and having the emotional capacity to handle it in, you know, a mature way. That's definitely me. But also like am a very level-headed person in spite of like whatever anger I had. And like, there's a lot of Amanda in me too. Like she's kind of the voice of reason. So like, you know, it's just, there's a lot of me in each of those characters. There's a lot of the kids I grew up with in each of those characters. Each one of them is sort of an archetype too. Like they kind of all bring a little something to the table that you expect and a little something you don't expect. And I really love the dynamic among all of them. Like I think it's balanced and it's authentic. And they're not perfect, which I think is probably the biggest contribution of myself into them. Like I am by no means a perfect person, and these kids are super flawed.
Just a little thing here, like I'm going to do the little giveaway. Is there a random question, like when people are watching, they can comment below? You want to throw out like a random trivia about you or about something real quick? Anything you want.
I mean, I could definitely ask some questions about myself. I doubt anyone would know the answers. Like I have a favorite book, and I would be surprised if anyone could tell me what my favorite book is.
Can you give them a hint, and then I'll find out, and then I'll see if anyone gets it right.
Okay. So my favorite comic of all time is an indie book from the 80s. It is well known. It's beloved by many. And in real life, unfortunately, it resulted in somebody getting killed.
Oh, well, all right. Okay. Well, I'll make sure I get that from you in a little bit. All right, so let's jump into No Heroine if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
Something I want to throw at you too, because I don't know how often you get this, but I've been in shops, comic shops. We're talking about it. Just, you know, your book randomly comes up or one of them, and I've been corrected many times. Someone say, "No, it's No Heroine."
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Right, but they've corrected me, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure, you know.
Yeah.
Do you get that a lot? Has anyone ever been like, "Oh, it's No Heroine" to you? Or?
All right, so the title is a extremely clever play on words, obviously. So the book is about a recovering drug addict. So it's literal no heroin, like no heroin, the drug. It's not spelled like that, but if you chop off the E, you get that. But it's definitely heroin, as in the female, you know, version of the word hero. And this is a book about a young woman trying to do the right thing and take care of people and save people and being really, really awful at it. So she's no hero, she's no heroine. It's definitely not no heroine. I've been in a few interviews where people have said that too. But the crazy like way people have come up with pronouncing it. At the end of the day, as long as you bought the book and enjoyed it, like I don't care what you call it.
That's all that matters.
Call it yes heroin. Like don't. That's terrible. But you know,
right, no to heroin, everyone. No.
Yeah, heroin is bad. Okay.
Yeah, don't do drugs. Simple as that.
But yeah. So this book has been a really good experience.
Yeah. What's it like having that sweet cover in your background there with the peach?
Oh yeah, the peach. Let me see if I can turn the camera the right way. One of the very cool things that happened because of this book was I got to work with Peach Momoko, who I'm sure anyone who's not living under a rock has heard of at this point. And whether you like her stuff or not, and most people seem to. But she's certainly blown up this year. And we, I say we, I wasn't really as involved in this. You'd think, but Hive Comics did a set of No Heroine covers for issues 1, 2, and 3, and contracted Peach to do those covers way back, like in February, like long before most people were saying her name. And she turned out a really nice crop of gorgeous, very Peach, very No Heroine covers. They sold like crazy. They were going for a couple $100 a piece at one point on eBay, like really just crazy stuff. And just kind of serendipity that the book came out just as she was starting to pick up a lot of steam. But like, it wasn't something we planned. It wasn't something that we made happen, like because she was picking up steam. Like we really were working with her for about 6 months, and the covers were done and just kind of worked out. Be grateful for small miracles, right? Or whatever the phrase is.
Right. It's something along those lines.
Yeah. But that was very cool.